In this video, we're going to review ETX Capital. We're going to tell you who they are, what they do, who they do it for, and what we like about them and what we don't like about them. Keep watching. So who are ETX Capital? Well, ETX Capital is actually one of the oldest online trading platforms out there. They can trace their roots back to 1965 when they were founded as Monocle, primarily an institutional and professional brokerage. In 2002, they were rebranded as TradIndex, and that sort of opened it up to retail traders. They actually had a storefront in the City of London, just around the corner from Mansell Street, where I had my first job as a stockbroker 20 years ago. You could walk in there, talk to the account executives, and open an account in the same way you could book a holiday in a travel agent's back then. Then in 2007, they were rebranded as ETX Capital, which stands for Electronic Trading, Telephone Trading, Execution Services. They're now owned by Guru Capital, who recently bought them, and they've also bought Oval, a fintech. So ETX Capital may become more of an overall fintech rather than just an online trading platform. If you'd like to know more about the people running ETX Capital, you can read my interview with Phil Adler, the CEO. I've known Phil for 15 years. He was one of the pioneers of the CFD industry back when he used to run GNI Touch. That, of course, very different CFDs back then. You had to sort of minimum of 10 grand to open an account, and it was very much a professional trading tool. Now, of course, CFDs have been opened up to a much wider audience. As well as our interview with Phil Adler, we've also got on the Good Money Guide review page news, reviews, facts and figures, so you can compare ETX's offering in terms of market access, account types and pricing against some of the other brokers in the industry. So what does ETX Capital offer? Well, they're primarily a spread betting and CFD broker. They've got access to around about 3,500 markets, about 55,000 active traders. They deal primarily in the most liquid markets online, but you can also trade over the phone with them. They've got a nice range of clients from beginners to experienced retail all the way up to some professional and institutional customers. And that's backed up by their voice brokerage. So as well as trading the most liquid markets online, you can also deal over the phone with an experienced bank of dealers. And of course, if there's anything that's not available online, just pick up the phone and they should be able to either add it to the platform or trade it for you online. Now, they offer a few trading platforms. They offer ETX Trader Pro, MT4 and 5, and of course mobile trading. But the platform we're going to look at today is ETX Trader Pro, which is their in-house trading platform. They did used to outsource it to a company called Aerial Communications, but they've actually bought Aerial Communications a few years ago, and they now manage that platform in-house. So let's take a little look at ETX Trader Pro. One of the things I do quite like about it is the trending watch lists. So you can sort stocks by meme stocks, technology stocks, and what's in the news. So if you want to trade those most liquid stocks where there's a lot of volume and a lot of chat and a lot of news flow, then you can very quickly find them with these three news lists. Obviously, we're doing this in the UK and the US market is shut at the moment, so we can't see the prices. I mean, there is pre-market trading in some of the major ones like Google, Apple and Facebook and so on, or Meta or Alphabet as they're now known. You can trade those pre-market if you want. They've also got a fairly wide range of forex pairs. You can trade majors, minors and exotic. ETX, of course, were originally a foreign exchange broker, and I remember visiting their offices about 5 or 6 years ago, and there was some quite lofty trades going through on the high volume forex desk. It was quite a nice atmosphere. You don't really get that nowadays, of course, because everybody's working from home and everything's online. But back then there was a nice bit of order flow going through. You've obviously got indices as well, but actually one of the things I really like about ETX Capital, which other brokers don't do, oddly enough, is you have the ability to rank stocks by performance. So here, for example, if we bring up the FTSE, the default layout is alphabetical, but you can rank the FTSE by which stocks have been performing badly that day. So you can do it by percentage fall, and you can also do it by percentage rise. And when I was a stockbroker, this is what people always used to want to see. They wanted to know what stocks are going up and why they're going up, or what stocks are going down or why they're going down. And that's often where the trading opportunities are. It's, like, why is this stock going up? Why is it gapped up? And is there a trading opportunity there? And that's one of the things that the platform does quite well. It sort of puts this stimulus in front of you. Just because the stock's gone up doesn't mean it's going to go up. Is it going to come off afterwards? If a stock is at the top of the fallers list, is that a bear trap? Is it going to bounce back? So there's a fair amount of things you can look at to get trading ideas just from the way you can rank markets. And then of course, if you do want to trade on a stock, you can just right click and it brings up the market information, and that tells you when the stock's trading, the minimum and maximum position you can have. If you're trading CFDs, it's not like spread betting. With spread betting, you bet, £10 a point or £1 a point. With CFDs, in ETX, it's 1 share equals 1 CFD. So if you want to buy 1,000 shares, you buy 1,000 CFDs. And it also gives you your margin limits. So let's put a trade on Informa as an example. We can see here they've gapped up this morning. That is on the back of them planning to sell their pharma intelligence division for 1.9 billion. So they're obviously getting a cash injection, which has pushed the price up. So let's look at their bigger chart. Charting's fairly simple. They do have the usual technical analysis, so you can see quite quickly what's been going on. You can change the time frame here to ticks, seconds. You can also go look at the 10-minute chart if you want a wider view, or indeed go daily, so we can see where they've been. So sort of quite obviously they gapped up nicely. For the purposes of this review, we'll just put on a sell trade because does that look sustainable? Who knows? You can either do one-click trading here, so you've got your volume in and then you can just tap away and sell 100 CFDs straight away. Let's just go back to our positions tab. So there you go, you can see we've sold 100 there. Or if you want a little bit more control over the order, you've got the option to put a stop and a limit in. So why don't we put the stop 5 points away, and we'll put the limit 10 points away, and again we'll sell 100. And now you can see our stop and limit. So let's just zoom into that and I'll show you how you can move the stops and limits. If we go to the 1 minute chart, we can see that these are the two places where we've sold, and this is our stop loss up here, and this is our take profit down here. Now if we think it's going to actually gap down a little bit further, you can just move your limit on the chart, and that will show you your P&L and the price at which you're going to exit as well. So we'll just leave those running for a while. As I mentioned as well, you can trade stocks on zero commission. Let's just find those. They're mainly on UK, US and European stocks, but as the UK market's the one that's open at the moment, let's take a look at those. It's a mixture of stocks and ETFs, so you can sort of invest in these things on the long term. Obviously, the benefit of buying a zero commission CFD rather than a stock is that you don't have to pay that 0.5% stamp duty on the position. But just bear in mind, there are other costs involved, like overnight financing with some brokers, so that quite can often overweigh the advantages of reducing that stamp duty fee. Unlike traditional CFDs where you're trading on leverage, these zero commission CFDs are non-leveraged. So if you want to buy 100 shares of AstraZeneca, as we'll do here, you actually have to pay for 100 shares of AstraZeneca. We actually don't have enough money on account for 100 shares, so we'll just buy 50, and that's about £4,300 worth, and you can see they'll just sit there in our portfolio. Let me just move this out the way. It's fairly easy to close positions. As with most brokers, they have a close position tab, so our two lots of 100 Informa CFDs we sold, if we want to close that position, we can just buy it back there. One of the things ETX Capital can't do, however, is you can't trade strategies online. So if, for example, you want to sell AstraZeneca against GlaxoSmithKline, you can't do it online. But if you do have a big order to work, as I said, they do have that voice brokerage desk, so you can phone them up and ask them to work an order, either on a VWAP over the day if you've got a particularly big one, or if you want to sell one against another as a percentage, the dealers can do that for you over the phone. And that's actually one of the things I quite like about ETX Capital. They're competing on service rather than price. Nowadays, all brokers are selling the same thing, which is access to the market on the most liquid market. Cable spreads are cable spreads and FTSE spreads are FTSE spreads. It's very difficult to be much tighter than the market spreads. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are offering zero commission stocks. So brokers have to differentiate themselves one way, and one way ETX does that is on service, by being London based and having people you can actually phone up and talk to. And of course, they sit quite nicely in the middle of the brokerage world. At one end of the spectrum, you've got Plus 500, which is very much a sort of online only marketing play, and then at the other end of the spectrum you've got Saxo Markets, which is more sort of professional and institutional with DMA access. But ETX has that nice broad range of services and customers that should be able to cater for most people. They obviously don't have the biggest range of markets available, compared to someone like IG, but they're going to have most of the assets that most people want to trade. ETX also have a fairly strong research arm, as you'll see if you read the ETX news section on the Good Money Guide ETX review page. You'll note that they also recently hired Alex Neil and Andrew Sachs to produce research and analysis for them. And actually, nowadays it's very difficult for brokers to provide trading ideas to their customers. They're not allowed to say, I think you should buy this, or I think you should sell that, just in case they get it wrong and then get in trouble. But what they can do is provide stimulus, and that's in fact what these two do really well. Alex Neil, I've been reading his research for 10-15 years. He used to write the research when we were at Man Financial. We used to send that out to customers. He'd be really good at putting technical trading scenarios in front of customers. 5 or 6 a day, a couple of pairs trades, a couple of sector trades, a couple of individual trades. And that just sort of gives people a quick overview of what's going on in the market, so you can see really quickly, should I be buying this, should I be selling this? And then you can make your own decision as to whether or not you should. And they've also got Andrew Sachs, who used to run Finance Feeds, who provides more of a general market commentary about what's going on. And as we've said on a lot of these reviews, one of the things that brokers have to do to differentiate themselves from other brokers is to try and add value. So ETX does have a series of webinars that focus both on how to get the best of their trading platform and some general basic strategy. And as well as running their own webinars, they've also partnered with the Carillion Academy, who a few other brokers have partnered with as well. And they provide, a Sunday evening webinar about what's coming up in the week ahead. They provide daily and weekly webinars on some trading strategy, how to trade like a professional, and things to avoid. It's usually a paid service, but if you are an ETX customer, you sign up through ETX, you'll get free access. So if you are an ETX Capital customer, or you go on to be an ETX Capital customer, come back and tell us what you think of them. Either write it in the comments below if this is on YouTube, or come to the Good Money Guide, fill in our survey and tell us what you think of ETX Capital in terms of pricing, market access and customer service relative to all the other trading accounts out there. It's really helpful if you come back and give us some feedback and let us know what you think of ETX Capital, or in fact any other investment or trading account that you have. Thanks for watching.